I was sitting in my corner office on the 42nd floor of the Sterling building, reviewing quarterly reports for my senior care empire, when my phone rang at exactly 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. The caller ID showed Grandma Rose, and I immediately smiled as I picked up, expecting our usual cheerful conversation about her garden or the neighborhood cats she'd been feeding. "Hello, sweetheart," came her familiar voice, but something was terribly wrong. She sounded shaky, uncertain, like she'd been crying. "Grandma? What's happening? You sound upset." "Well, dear, your mother just called about an hour ago. She says." Grandma's voice broke and I could hear her struggling not to cry. "She says they're moving me to some place called Sunset Manor tomorrow morning. That my bags are already packed and sitting by the front door." My blood went cold. Sunset Manor. The premium senior living facility that I'd purchased 3 years ago as the flagship property of my Golden Years Properties portfolio. The same facility my mother had been praising for months whenever she visited Grandma, never knowing I owned every inch of its manicured grounds, every thread of its luxury bedding, every piece of equipment in its state-of-the-art medical wing. "Grandma, did she say why? Did something happen?" "She said I'm getting too old to live alone safely. That it's for my own good, that I'll be happier with people my own age." I could hear her crying softly now. "But sweetheart, I love my little house on Maple Street. I've lived there for 43 years. Your grandfather planted those rose bushes in the front yard the summer before you were born. Every morning I make my coffee and sit on the porch swing he built, watching those roses bloom." I felt rage building in my chest like a furnace being stoked. My 78-year-old grandmother, the woman who'd essentially raised me while my parents traveled constantly for their business ventures, was being shipped off like an inconvenience. The woman who taught me everything about kindness, hard work, integrity, and treating every person with dignity regardless of their age or station in life. "Grandma, listen to me very carefully. Don't pack anything. Don't sign any papers. Don't let anyone pressure you into anything. I'll handle this situation completely." "But dear, your mother seems so certain, so official. She had all these brochures and forms. She said the room is already reserved and paid for. Trust me, okay? I promise you no one is taking you anywhere you don't want to go. I love you and I'll call you back within the hour." I hung up and immediately pulled up the contact information I knew by heart. My fingers moved quickly across the keyboard as I accessed the internal directory for all my properties. "Sunset Manor, this is Rebecca speaking. How may I assist you today?" "Rebecca, this is Ms. Sarah Williams, owner of Golden Years Properties and CEO of the entire network. I need you to blacklist the Thompson family permanently from all our facilities. No reservations, no tours, no contact whatsoever." "Of course, Ms. Williams. I'll input that immediately. Should I note a specific reason in our security system?" "Family conflict and attempted elder abuse. They're not to set foot on any of our properties under any circumstances. Alert security at all 47 locations." "Understood completely. I'll update all locations within the next 15 minutes." I leaned back in my leather chair, looking out at the city skyline while thinking about how we'd gotten to this point. For the past 5 years, my mother Patricia and my stepfather David had been living what they believed was the high life. Expensive dinners at 5-star restaurants, luxury vacations to Europe and the Caribbean, designer clothes from Nordstrom and Saks, spa treatments, country club memberships. What they didn't know was that every single penny of their extravagant lifestyle was being funded by the trust fund I'd established specifically for Grandma Rose. A trust that I controlled completely and had been personally funding with millions from my business empire. You see, 3 years ago when Grandma had started worrying about her finances and whether her Social Security would be enough to maintain her independence, I'd quietly taken over all her expenses without her knowledge. Her mortgage payments, utilities, groceries, medical bills, home maintenance, property taxes, everything was being paid through what she believed was her late husband's enhanced pension plan and some good investments he'd apparently made decades ago. In reality, I'd been covering nearly $8,000 a month to ensure she never worried about money again. But my mother had gotten greedy. She'd convinced Grandma to sign financial power of attorney, just in case something happens, and had been slowly redirecting that money to fund her own increasingly extravagant lifestyle. She thought she was stealing from an elderly woman's modest savings account. She had no idea she was stealing from my $340 million senior care empire that employed over 3,000 people across 6 states. The irony was delicious. Every time Mom bought a new designer handbag or booked another expensive vacation, she was spending money that originated from the very business empire she had no idea her daughter had built. She was funding her lifestyle by stealing from the trust fund of the woman who'd raised me to be successful. My phone buzzed with an incoming call. Mom's number flashed on the screen. "Sarah, what the hell did you do?" she screamed before I could even say hello, her voice shrill with panic and rage. "Hello, Mother. How's your evening going? Don't you dare get smart with me. Sunset Manor just called and said our reservation is cancelled. They said the Thompson family is permanently blacklisted from their facility." "What did you tell them?" I couldn't help but smile as I spun my chair to face the window. I told them the truth. That the Thompson family isn't welcome at any of their properties. "This is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what lies you've been spreading about us, but I'm calling their corporate office right now to straighten this out." "Good luck with that approach." There was a pause filled with heavy breathing. "What do you mean by that?" "I mean good luck calling the corporate office. Though I should warn you, the CEO is currently in a meeting and probably won't be available for the rest of the evening." "How would you possibly know the CEO's schedule?" "Because I am the CEO, Mother." Complete silence on the other end of the line. "That's absolutely impossible." Golden Years Properties. 47 senior living facilities across 6 states including California, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Florida, and Colorado. Annual revenue of $340 million. Current market valuation approaching $2.1 billion. We employ 3,247 people and serve over 8,000 residents. Would you like me to email you our latest quarterly investor report? I could hear her breathing heavily, struggling to process this information. "You're lying. You're just trying to scare me." "Am I?" "Tell me, Mother, how exactly did you think Grandma was affording that beautiful house on Maple Street? The one with the completely paid-off mortgage? The fancy comprehensive medical insurance that covers everything including experimental treatments? The reason she never worries about grocery bills or utility payments or property taxes?" More silence, longer this time. "You thought you were so incredibly clever, didn't you? Getting power of attorney, slowly redirecting her trust fund payments to your own personal accounts. Did you really think a 78-year-old woman was generating $8,000 a month from Grandpa's modest pension and Social Security? We needed. You were stealing from your own mother. Except you weren't stealing from her modest retirement savings. You were stealing from me, from my business, from money I was providing to ensure her comfort and security." I pulled up the detailed financial records on my computer screen, scrolling through months of transactions. "Let's see. Last month you spent $3,200 at Nordstrom, $1,800 at that luxury spa in Scottsdale, $4,500 on David's Country Club membership, $2,300 at Williams-Sonoma, and $6,800 on that weekend trip to Napa Valley. All paid for with money you thought belonged to Grandma." "Sarah, I can explain all of this. Here's what's going to happen, Mother. You're going to get in your car right now and drive to Grandma's house. You're going to apologize sincerely for scaring her with this nursing home nonsense. You're going to unpack whatever bags you've packed for her. And you're going to promise never to mention moving her anywhere ever again. But the money situation. The money will continue flowing to Grandma exactly like it always has, ensuring her complete comfort and security. But your little allowance, that generous funding of your lifestyle, that ends tonight at midnight." I could hear David in the background asking urgently what was happening, his voice getting louder and more agitated. "Oh, and Mother, you might want to check your credit cards in about an hour. And your bank account. And that lovely Mercedes lease you thought Grandma was paying for. And the rent on that upscale townhouse in Willow Creek Estates. You wouldn't dare." "I absolutely would. Everything gets turned off at midnight tonight. The house you're renting? That's mine too. Willow Creek Estates. I bought the entire residential development 2 years ago when the original developer went bankrupt. Your lease expires at the end of this month and it won't be renewed." I heard her gasp audibly. "Don't worry though. I'm not completely heartless. I'll give you 30 days to find somewhere else to live. Somewhere you can actually afford on David's car salesman salary at Henderson Motors." "Sarah, please. We're family. Family helps family." "Family." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Family doesn't try to dump their 78-year-old mother in a nursing home so they can sell her house and pocket the proceeds. Yes, I know about that plan too. I saw the communications with Morrison Real Estate about getting a market evaluation. How could you possibly know about? Because I own Morrison Real Estate too, mother. I own 43% of the commercial real estate in this city. Grandma's house is worth $340,000 in the current market. Were you planning to split that money 3 ways while she sat in a nursing home, thinking her family had abandoned her? The line was quiet for a long moment except for the sound of muffled arguing between Mom and David. What do you want from us? What will it take to fix this? I want you to become better people. But since that seems developmentally impossible at this stage of your lives, I'll settle for you staying completely away from Grandma unless you're visiting as genuinely loving family members. No more financial discussions. No more talk of moving her anywhere. No more attempting to access her accounts or redirect her funds. And if we don't agree to these terms, then you'll discover exactly how many businesses I own in this city. The grocery stores, the gas stations, the restaurants, the medical facilities, the banks. It's amazing how quickly life becomes extraordinarily inconvenient when you're persona non grata everywhere you need to conduct business. I heard David say something angry and threatening in the background, his voice getting closer to the phone. Oh, and David? That Chevy dealership where you work? Henderson Motors? I don't own that one. Yet. But I do own the Ford dealership directly across the street, and we've been considering expansion into the Chevy market. Amazing how quickly a successful dealership can lose customers when a competitor starts offering better deals and superior service. Another long pause filled with whispered arguments. You've changed, Sarah. You used to be such a sweet, accommodating girl. I grew up, mother. I learned that kindness without firm boundaries is just enabling bad behavior. Grandma taught me that, actually, along with the critical importance of hard work, integrity, and treating people with genuine respect. Lessons you apparently missed during your childhood. So what happens now? Now you go apologize to Grandma for scaring her. Then you start looking for jobs that will actually support the lifestyle you've been pretending to afford. And maybe, if you can prove over time that you've genuinely changed, we can slowly rebuild some kind of authentic relationship. And Grandma's situation? Grandma gets to live in her beautiful house, surrounded by Grandpa's rose bushes, for as long as she wants. Her medical care, her groceries, her utilities, her property maintenance. Everything taken care of exactly like always. The only difference is you won't be stealing from her anymore. I could hear Mom crying now, finally understanding the full scope of what she'd lost. Sarah, I never meant for it to go this far. We got used to having money. We thought she had more than she needed, that she wouldn't miss it. She does have more than she needs, as I make sure of it. But that money was supposed to give her peace of mind and security, not fund your shopping sprees and luxury vacations. Is there any way we can fix this relationship? I thought carefully for a moment. Maybe. But it starts with genuine, demonstrable change. Get real jobs. Support yourselves. Visit Grandma because you love her, not because you want something from her. Prove that you can be trustworthy people. And our housing situation? I'll give you 60 days instead of 30. And I won't blacklist you from other rental properties in the city. But the free ride ends tonight. Permanently. After I hung up, I immediately called Grandma back to check on her. Hello, sweetheart. Grandma, how are you feeling now? Well, it's the strangest thing. Your mother just called about 20 minutes ago. She was crying, apologizing profusely for scaring me about the nursing home. She said there was some kind of terrible misunderstanding about my living situation. That's good to hear. She also said something very strange. She said I should be incredibly proud of you, that you've built something amazing with your life. What did she mean by that? I smiled, looking out at the city lights beginning to twinkle in the evening darkness. Just that I've been working hard, Grandma. Building a business that helps take care of seniors and ensures they're treated with dignity. That's wonderful, dear. I always knew you'd do something special with your life. Even when you were little, you were always so thoughtful about other people, so determined to make things fair. I learned that from you. Oh, sweetheart. You know what? Your mother asked if she could come help me with some gardening this weekend. She said she wants to learn more about caring for those roses your grandfather planted. My heart softened slightly. Maybe there was genuine hope for change after all. That sounds really nice, Grandma. And she mentioned that she and David are going to start looking for real work again. Apparently they've been retired long enough, whatever that means. I chuckled. Apparently so. Sarah, can I ask you something important? Of course, anything. That senior living place they mentioned, Sunset Manor. Do you know anything about their reputation? I paused carefully. Why do you ask? Well, I was just thinking. If I ever do need that kind of care someday when I'm truly unable to manage independently, I'd want to make sure it's a good place. Somewhere that treats people with genuine dignity and respect. I can personally guarantee that Sunset Manor treats every single resident like beloved family, Grandma. They have beautiful gardens for walking, excellent medical care, and staff who genuinely care about the people they serve. But that's a decision for the future, if ever. That's very reassuring to know. You know, sometimes I worry about getting older, becoming a burden on the people I love. Grandma Rose, you could never ever be a burden. You're the person who taught me that everyone deserves respect and care, regardless of their age or circumstances. I promise you'll always have choices and you'll always be surrounded by people who love you unconditionally. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you too, more than you'll ever know. After we hung up, I sat in my office looking out at the city lights, thinking about legacy and family and what really matters. Tomorrow I'd implement some new policies across all my properties, stronger protections against elder abuse, better family screening processes, expanded support services for seniors who wanted to age in place, and enhanced staff training on recognizing and preventing financial exploitation. My phone buzzed with a text message from Mom. Thank you for giving us a chance to do better. We won't waste this opportunity. Maybe people could change. Maybe families could heal given proper boundaries and consequences. But one thing was absolutely certain. Grandma Rose would never have to worry about being treated as anything less than the treasure she was. Not on my watch. 6 months later, I was having Sunday dinner at Grandma's house. A tradition we'd established after the Sunset Manor incident. Mom and David were there too, both working full-time jobs and renting a modest apartment they could actually afford on their combined salaries. Sarah, Mom said as we cleared the dishes together, I never properly thanked you for what you did. For what exactly? For stopping me from making the biggest mistake of my life. I almost threw away the most precious relationship I have because I was selfish, greedy, and short-sighted. I looked through the kitchen window at Grandma, who was patiently teaching David how to properly prune her beloved rose bushes. We all make mistakes, Mom. What matters is learning from them and becoming better people. I've been thinking about getting my real estate license, she said quietly. Maybe working specifically with seniors who want to downsize or modify their homes to age in place safely. I think I could help people navigate those decisions better now, having learned what I've learned. I smiled genuinely. That sounds like truly meaningful work. It does. And Sarah? That business you built, taking care of seniors, treating them with dignity, it's exactly what this world needs more of. As I drove home that evening, I passed the illuminated Sunset Manor sign. Tomorrow I'd be breaking ground on our newest facility. One designed specifically for seniors who wanted independent living with comprehensive support services available as needed. But tonight I was just grateful that sometimes, the best revenge is actually love. Love strong enough to set firm boundaries, enforce real consequences and create space for people to become better versions of themselves. Grandma's roses were blooming more beautifully than ever this year.